So I'm so excited I get to read your story because I don't personally know you, right? And I've never got to meet you. So I just read your story. That's so amazing.
Well, I don't know. Is this being recorded already?
Yeah, automatically go right into it.
Okay. Well, when I received the email that you wanted to do an interview, I thought, what am I going to say? What am I going to tell? What's special that I can say? So I don't know where this is going to be shared, but I don't know what I'm.
Yeah, we shared with our Team Go agents, but this is also on our YouTube channel to help other agents to go from not necessarily being a producing agent into being a producing agent, or if they're brand new, to see what it takes to become that high producing agent that you earn your cap back, right? First of all, most brokerages, it's not even an option, right, to earn your cap back. So let's go back to the beginning. So who is Jenifer, and how did you find yourself to real estate?
Okay, so my bio's in those. I don't know if you're going to pull those slides up or not, but anyway, my bio's in that slide. And basically, here's my story in a nutshell. So I was a former teacher. And so when you're a teacher, a high school teacher, you have a lot of collective skills. You do a lot of multitasking. And so when I had children, I decided I wanted to kind of go a different direction. And I started in a career in sales. And I did that for about 6 years working from home. So last December, and I've been working from home, which was great because my children were young and at home, and it was the perfect scenario for our family. Been post-COVID, I was just ready to be back where the people are. Like I was ready to be back with people. My children went to school and I was ready to do that. I actually took the real estate class in 2009. So it had always been, I mean, it took 11 years for this to come full circle. Anyways, I had a miscarriage back in December of last year, and I was just broken and sad, and I wanted a reason. I wanted a new goal, and I wanted to be back with people. And so, I mean, that's just basically it. So I had a reason to just.
So is this December of 2020?
Yes.
I would think December of 2020. So you decided to come. By the way, I'm so sorry about the miscarriage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's okay to talk about it. So
yeah,
it's a real thing.
So 2020 December, you decide to come back into real estate, right? Not even come back, like you never even really done anything, right? You got licensed in 2009, but it was just sitting there. And
I took the real estate course in 2009 and passed. And then I never took my state exams. So, I mean, 11 years and 2 kids and 2 careers in between that, like I had to go backwards a little bit and figure it out. So yeah, but you know, like I said.
So December of 2020, you became a licensed realtor. What state are you in?
I'm in Tennessee. So I work in Middle Tennessee and Northern Alabama. So in December, I decided, well, actually it was probably December. We had that happen in December, and it was probably February, March by the time I had got my head clear and knew that I was going to do something. I had motivation to do something. And so I was licensed by mid-April.
Oh, that's when I got licensed. Yep. So mid-April. So you really didn't even have a full year.
No, I had April to December.
That's amazing. Okay. So what's your average price range?
Well, so I'm from a very small community. I think we've talked about this before. My average price point's maybe a little less than 200.
Okay. So let's meet it at 200-ish, right? So how many deals did it take you, or how long did it take you to cap?
3 months.
2.7 million in production took you 3 months. That's amazing.
It was wild. It was wild. And everybody wants to know, like, well, what did you do?
Yeah. And I think you have a presentation on that, right?
I do. I mean,
I'm going to give you the right to share your screen in a second, so you can pull up your presentation in a second. But so it took you 3 months to get to 2.7 million in production, which a $200,000 price range, like that's not 2 deals, right? So that's multitude of the deals that you did in 3 months. Then how long did it take you to do 20 more to Icon?
It took me to 20 more from July to December.
So 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And that's your first year in real estate. Just like coming in being like, I'm going to be an icon agent in my first year. Not even full year, just in 9 months. I'm just going to get it done in 9 months.
Well, the irony is here, I didn't even know truly
What icon was?
I didn't know what icon was. And my transaction coordinator called and said, hey, this closing today is going to put you at icon. And I said, well, what does that mean? She's also an EXP agent. And so she laughed. Of course, she thought that was funny. So yeah.
You didn't even know what you were chasing.
I didn't.
That's amazing.
I knew that it was good. I knew it was a good thing.
So what that means for everybody who's listening here, because you're probably also wondering what the heck is icon, right? So what that means is that Jenifer paid in, so we kept right around 2.7 million in production, which equals in about $16,000 cap that we pay in at an 80-20 split. Well, if you can do 20 more deals in your own anniversary year, which in Jenifer's case is from January to January, right? Your anniversary year. That means you become icon and you earn that $16,000 cap that you paid in, you get it back in company stocks that is sitting in your retirement account in the end of the year. So that's amazing. I'm so excited for you. It's so unheard of for someone just coming like banging, right? In your first year. So I'm very, very proud of you. Not even knowing what you were chasing. That's amazing. So I gave you the right to share your screen. Can you share your screen? I think you brought a presentation.
Okay. I made this about midnight last night, so.
Love it. This way you get to learn and see how your brain works.
Now.
Yeah, if you can hit that present button on the right-hand side, or full screen too. I don't know if that will do the same thing.
No.
No, yeah, hit the present button, the big, the big white button on the right, all the way to the right. Present. Yeah, hit that. And then standard and present.
Okay, thanks.
And that should bring it up to full screen.
Okay. So, of course, Amy Gregory is my sponsor. And so the guide to Rock Your Rookie Year, and I put kind of in there just because this is just a kind of guide. This is just me kind of telling my story. So,
love it.
Let's see. How do we go forward? Okay.
You should be able to hit the arrow or the right side of the screen. Yeah.
Okay. Anywhere. Here's my long bio. Basically, it just says, like we had talked about, my that kind of pit of despair kind of plunged me forward into chasing that real estate dream. It was more about wanting to serve the people, wanting to interact with people, and I was a home economics teacher, so I had a deep-rooted love for people and establishing a home already. So it was kind of just joining those two passions together. Anyway, it's a little bit about me. And okay, so have you ever heard the shake it off and step up story about the donkey?
No.
Okay, well, you might like this though. So I heard this years and years and years ago, and it is just so true. So the story is about a donkey, and the farmer came out one morning and the donkey had fell in the well, and he was just devastated. He didn't know how in the world he was going to get this donkey out of the well. He was a very old donkey, and he thought, what are we going to do? So he called all the neighbors over from the surrounding farms, and they decided the best thing to do was just to leave the donkey down there and just to bury it. It was a well that they didn't use anymore. So they all got their shovels and got dirt, and they started shoveling dirt on top of the donkey down in this well. And what they found out after a couple of hours of shoveling the dirt is the donkey was shaking the dirt off and using it as a platform to step up. And the donkey got himself all the way out of the well by people shoveling dirt on top of him. And so in that time of my life at that moment, I felt like nothing was going right. Of course, we were in the middle of a pandemic. We had just lost the baby. It was a terrible, really difficult time for everybody. And so this success in real estate for me was sort of symbolic, and like I was just shaking it off and continuing to step up. And we pulled ourselves out, and that's kind of applicable to lots of different people in lots of different situations. But the moral of the story is, like, you got to learn how to be a tough ass and get yourself out of the hole.
Love it. I may sometimes, with your permission, use this story. Vanilla cloud.
Well, you Google the donkey and the whale, and you'll find lots of stories about it. But there's several analogies and little things in here. I just like those. So anyway, shake it off and step up. That's the moral of the story. Which leads me into this just says life is going to shovel dirt on you, all kinds of dirt. The trick to getting out of the well is to shake it off and step up. Each of our troubles is a stepping stone to get out of the deepest well, not by stopping, never giving up. Shake it off and step up. So when you feel like others are dumping dirt on you, use it as your advantage and find a way.
Love it.
Okay, so you go to the next slide. Okay, so number one, they told me to have 3 bullet points. This is bullet point number 1. It's just be determined to overcome adversity. And that sounds so generic, but it's not. It is what it is. Real estate, every day wasn't easy. There was there were some hard days where I was like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. There were some days when we won multiple offers and I was like, I love real estate. So, it's the ebb and flow of the roller coaster. And I was just determined to make it work. And that was my mindset from, everybody's like, what's your why? That's also real cliche, but there is truth in that. And that's kind of where my mindset started.
Yeah, I always say there is no plan B.
It was a burn the boat kind of situation.
There's a plan A, and that's what we are doing. And we're going to get there, whatever it takes, right? If people that give themselves like, well, if I reach icon, that would be awesome. But if I don't, like, if I just sell 15 homes, that'd be great too, right? Well, you have to decide, what do you want? Because you can't possibly reach a goal if you give yourself all kinds of goals in the middle, right? So I love it. I'm the same way. It's like, whatever I set my mind to, that's the only plan we have, and we're going to get it done no matter what it takes. Yeah.
So number 1 was just my mindset was in the right place from day one, which I think to be successful in anything, and especially real estate, you got to be at that starting point to make it work.
Yeah.
The second thing is, and this is just kind of specifically talking about maybe the practicality of how the transactional side of how this worked for me. And I ask all my clients to, do a review for me after we get finished with the transaction. And this word keeps coming up in all of my reviews. Like usually 1 out of 5 will say, we loved her tenacity. And so I think that tenacity and being tenacious with my lead sources is what drove the transactions. And I didn't focus on just this, and I didn't focus on just that. I tried to take every lead and generate 5 more. So,
so how do you do that?
Okay. So follow-up, that was just, the tenacity was in the follow-up. The follow-up is the tenacity. It's one and the same thing.
Yeah.
Following up with agents, following up with buyers, sellers, whatever. The follow-up is in the people, in the relationships. So here's my hodgepodge of all the things of where. So I chased down. So I had a couple of listings right out of the gate within my sphere. Those listings, open houses, led to meeting strangers. That stranger led to a listing, buy and sell. And it was just because I made real connections with them at the open house. And when I said, I'll call you tomorrow, I called them tomorrow. And I just was very tenacious in my follow-up, and I tried to make real connections. So like at the open house, when they left, we had maybe 10 or 15 people come through. After every conversation, I tried to make a note that they had 3 kids. We talked about loving dogs. They were from this area, about their age. So when I called them back tomorrow, like I said I was going to, I already knew the premise of the conversation. And then that led to a referral. That referral led to another referral. And it's so on and so on. But the key was which sounds very simple, but sometimes it's not, because you're juggling a million things in the beginning. And
I used to call, email, and text, 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 right? Until I earned their business. And eventually it came to me with one client. I said this and I was like, I can't believe I just said that, right? So I call this person again, just like I always do, right? I call you until you say your name or until you tell me to go pound send, right? And I called him and I said, hey, listen, in case you haven't noticed by far, I'm going to call you, text you, and email you every single day for the rest of your life. It's a habit, right? So if you want to put yourself out of your misery, you need to tell me, do you want to work with me or not? Right? But by that time, this is like day 14 or 15. They're like, oh my gosh, she's not kidding. She's going to call and text me and call and text me and email me and call and text and email me again. So they're going to let you know what they want. But by that time, you earn their business because they're like, oh my God.
Tenacious. She's tenacious.
Exactly. She's not going to give up. She's going to call me when I'm 90. So I agree with the tenacity and I agree with the follow-up, right? I call, email, and text, call, email, and text, call, email, and text until you tell me yay or nay.
Yeah. And then the social media was just like, I shared a little bit every day of what I was doing along the way. And then some organic leads just began to come out of that process of telling the story of being a new agent. One piece of advice that someone gave me the very first week I got started, and I solicited a lot of advice from a lot of people in the beginning. And let me just go backwards for one point and say, I interviewed a lot of brokerages. I researched the shit out of finding a brokerage. I mean, truly. I mean, I had my license for probably 4 weeks before I committed. I mean, I interviewed with all the big names and gave all blah, blah, blah. But I had already been affiliated for the last 6 years with a cloud-based business model. And I understood the power of residual income. I understood, EXP's business model made the most sense to me over and over and over again. So I knew that's where from a business standpoint alone, I knew that was going to make, it makes the most sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who could argue it, but it is what it is. But another agent, another brokerage from when I first got started said, manage your database from day one. And that is like, that's the advice I would give to new agent, because you are drinking from the fire hose, as Amy would say. And if you can forget to enter those calls, put all that in, and then you wake up and you're 6 months in and you don't have all that data that you're going to need to go forward. So managing your database, even though that's not necessarily like the glamorous part, is very important.
Yeah. I agree. I have a lead tracker that we still use to today, even though we have multiple CRM programs, right? The way my brain works is I need to see the hot leads and the hot leads only, right? So I don't want to see them. I have 7,000 of them. I just want to see, who do I need to talk to today? Yeah. Right. And so for that, I use what we call the lead tracker, and a copy of the lead tracker is in the comments below, you guys, if you want it. But what I do is I literally put them right on my so my lead tracker is multiple different pages. I kind of take it through the process of getting the cold lead, warm lead, hot lead, right, into pending, from pending to close, and from close to automated drip campaigns, and kind of massaging them from our rest of our lives, right? But that spreadsheet is what helped me to stay consistent. So every morning, first thing I would do, I open up my spreadsheet with my morning coffee, and I go through email, text, and call, email, text, and call, email, text, and call, email, text, and call. Every single one of them, they were in the hot, right? And then we had the A's were the hot, the B's were the anywhere from 3 to 6 months, and the C's were like, oh, if and when that perfect lakefront property comes on the market, right, that has 27 fireplaces, then we'll buy, right? So those were the C's, and those I didn't check up with every single day. I would periodically run a report, see what lake properties came on the market. I would shoot it over to them, and then I would do a follow-up call and just say, hey guys, here are what's on the market right now. There are lake properties. Let me know if something catches your eyes. I can take you Saturday from 4 to 6, right? So those kind of things. But I do agree with you, is tenacity and follow-up. No matter where the leads are coming from, you have to plug them into some sort of a system that works for you. Like for me, it was a good old Excel sheet. Even though I have a multitude of CRM programs, Excel sheet is how my brain works, right? I want to say it right in front of me. But what is your way of keeping track of your leads?
Well, at the beginning, I had everything. Are you ready for this? Like on a piece of notebook paper. Yeah. That I put in my car. I had a notebook, and I had everything handwritten. Like I'm a notebook.
Everything I do is written down. I know what page it is on. I remember if it's left side, right side, top or bottom, right? Like if I have to go in there, I will find something way faster in my notebook than I will ever find them on a spreadsheet or in a CRM program.
Me too. I am a notebook kind of girl. But now that I do utilize KV Core, now that I feel like at the beginning, I didn't know the systems. I just I just took off, put my head down and went to work at the beginning. And okay, which leads me to my next thing. So this is my next advice to the new people that are maybe in this, this raft is where I felt like I started. I started on that raft. I was floating above the water, but like, that's all. And that's kind of what I started with. I didn't know how to use a CRM, and I didn't really have the time or want to take the time. And you and I have talked about this, and anyway, we've talked about this before, but I didn't want to sit and watch like 100 hours of training videos. Yeah. That's just not how I work. So I watched a little bit and then I implemented it, watched a little bit and I just kept going and going and going and going and just tweaking it as I went along. So eventually my raft turned into a boat, but I think one of the things for me, my success was that I just took off on what I had and built it along the way, but I was still floating above the water. I've just built my systems kind of as I went, and maybe that's not everybody's approach. But
yeah,
for me,
I had someone say it this way of like jumping and building a plane on the way down.
It's the same thing. It's same thing. I jumped and then figured it out every day as I went along, and I made a lot of mistakes and I learned at lightning speed out of necessity. So, but then now I feel like this is where I am. I am here now. I've arrived. My boat's a little nicer. I've got friends, and this is my community within Powerhouse, of course, with Amy and the other female agents that are solo like me who like just understand. Like that's my transaction coordinator. She's out there in a boat now. Like that would be one thing I would say within your community. Like I had to learn to leverage really quickly. So at one point, I had almost 12 or 14 deals, and I could not keep up with that on my own. And so I got a transaction coordinator about 2 months in, and then that in itself allowed me to propel and continue going.
So can you describe that? Because I feel like most agents, right, look at the transaction coordinator as a cost. And also they look at it, well, I can do that, right? Like, why would I hire it out? I can do that. Like, why would I pay someone $300 or $350 or $450 or whatever they charge, right? So can you tell me how come so early on that you realize that that's an asset, it's not a cost?
Well, number one, I charge a $350 transaction fee. And that's pretty standard for my area. Most agents do. So that $350 transaction fee covers my cost. I'm out, no cost of my own. My clients, that's a part of my listing agreement and my buyer's agreement. That language is in there.
I know, but most agents would look at it, well, I could keep commission and transaction fee as income.
Well, they need to check themselves then. I don't know. That's all I'm saying. I have probably closed. I only have so much time. My family was non-negotiable from the beginning, and most agents probably feel that way. I have this much time, and that's it. That's what I'm giving to this real estate. Otherwise, it'll like suck the life out of you. And this is the amount of time. And I probably was able to close 8 more deals because of the time I bought back that the TC handles. So 8 times 350 or 8 times 100% commission. Like, I don't know. That's really simple math. I don't know. That's for that. You have to use your own brain to figure that out. I guess.
Just math, guys. It's just math. Love it. Love it.
So that's it. That's my community. That's where I am now.
What is your next goal that you want to achieve? Achieving icon in, by the way, did you know less than 6% of agents achieve icon?
I did not know that.
So you surpass 94% of the people in the company, right? So that means, let's do the math, 73,000 times 94%, that's 68,620 agents that you passed in your first year of real estate.
That's wild.
It's a big deal, huge deal.
So
and you didn't even know it. You were just like, icon. Oh, cool. What's that?
Yeah. And and part of that was subconsciously my strategy all along, because I can be guilty of the comparison game if I ever let myself slip into that. It's really a dangerous place to be. So, there were a few other agents with different brokerages that were doing really well. Of course, they've been in it 5 or 10 years, my senior, but I intentionally, like, it took me like a week to realize I was seeing their social media posts and they were like making me feel like, oh, I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not doing good. They're doing better than me. Like, I had all those like really ridiculous
There's always
thoughts.
someone ahead, right? There's always someone
But
ahead.
it's really easy. All I had to do was click the 3 dots and click unfollow. And that's it. Then I put my head down and went back to work, and I knew I was able to stop and recognize that those were going to be distractions for me. Well, I still wish I hope they do well, and I'm glad they're doing well. I just didn't need it in my scroll. That was just not productive. So I guess it was just being mindful and continuing to put
And
my
doing
head
and doing what's working for you. Can you stop sharing for a second so I can see you larger on the screen? I mean, I kind of like both. I agree with you. Comparing yourself to somebody else is not necessarily a good thing to do, right? But if you are comparing yourself to somebody else who's ahead, then you also have to give yourself credit for how far you came from all those 68,000 people that you left behind, right? Because that's the only way you're going to see your growth. In my opinion, comparing yourself to others in a healthy way is to create that competition. I'm a very competitive person. And as Dave Kennard, our previous president of EXP, used to say, who are you chasing? Right? Because if I don't have that person ahead of me, then I'm like, look at them again. They did 10 more deals than I did, or they got 10 more agents than I did, or they opened another company, or they reached this, or they reached that, or they got nominated for this, and they're speaking in this event. Why am I not speaking at that event, right? So I am looking at it as using it as fuel to be like, oh, watch me, right? Like, it is on. Like, they don't even know we're in competition. It's not even a competition, right? But I use it in my own way to create that inner fire so then I can chase that next thing, right? But in the same time, when you're doing that, you have to look back and give yourself like, you know what? I might not be here.
Well,
but
it's healthy.
Here, and here.
It's healthy perspective. And, like, I mean, I didn't like bury my head in the sand. I'm still very much aware. I just chose selectively. I look at it when I want to look at it.
Yeah, when you were like, okay, what am I doing next? What's my next step? Love it.
So on the horizon for me, I don't know. Like, I still have ambitions of wanting to have a local team. Like, that's been part of the conversation for this
2022.
Yes, starting a local team. I hired an ISA in January, and so I'm kind of getting that.
So can you tell the world what's an ISA?
Inbound sales agent.
Love it. And how is this person going to be working for you? And are you going to train them? Did they come trained?
So they came with some subset of skills and training, but I'm actually putting them through an ISA course that another EXP agent's developed. It's really awesome. And so they're kind of working in my CRM now and doing that training simultaneously. Just kind of pre-screening and setting appointments. And I'm trying again to like leverage my time. And so far that I'm happy so far with where we are. But
how does an ISA get paid?
He gets paid hourly.
Hourly, okay. Did you not give a percentage based on appointments that then end up in a commission? Just hourly. Okay.
Yep. And so far, hourly rate is going to be a good investment.
Awesome. Most of the people that I know that have ISAs, I've never worked with cold leads, right? So my leads all come to me, so I never had the need for it. But the people that I know that they use ISAs, they do give them an incentive because you have to just food for thought, right? It's your business. You get to run it however you want to. An hourly rate, he or she has no incentive to make sure that results in a closing. A smaller hourly rate and a certain percentage of a commission will give them the fire, not just to put someone in your calendar, right? But to actually turn them into a client and close them. So that might be something that you want to think about. And also it's not so much cost up front, because right now your cost is up front and you don't know if that's going to result in a closing or not. But if you do a lower cost up front, but a little bit of a commission, then you know they're going to work harder to get you to a closing table. Just food for thought.
This is through a third party company that manages that. I don't like it.
So it's not your own in-house ISA. It's like through the company. Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's different. It's different.
yeah, so
Amazing. Well, look at you grow. So at some point, do you have ideas of maybe like getting a buyer's agent or a showing agent at some point to remove those things from your plate?
well, I want, like I've been extremely comfortable in this solo situation.
Yeah.
But I would like because like I said, the whole goal was people, like I want to build that community. And I feel like I've established a really healthy community again online, but I would like to create that community like in real life. And so, yes, part of it is I would like to have a buyer's agent. And I would also just like to kind of form a community.
Like maybe do like quarterly past clients events and Valentine's Day parties and Easter bunny and all of those things where you can actually be face to
Yeah,
face.
like I would just like more people interaction kind of. So that's kind of on my punch list and
Love it.
other different things. But yeah.
Love it. I am so excited for you. And I want you to know that the numbers that you have pulled in your first year of real estate are unheard of, right? Even that 6% that does icon, they were not necessarily in their first year, right? Like they've been in the industry for a very, very long time to achieve those goals. So make sure to stop and, smell the roses and give yourself some credit for the hard work that you have achieved that you didn't even know what you were achieving while you were achieving it, right? But now you laid yourself a very healthy foundation, right? So you have the speed of lightning where to some agents may take 5, 7, 10 years to icon if they ever icon, right? So give yourself a pat on the back. Congratulations, you're a badass. I love it. And thank you so much for your time today and sharing your knowledge. Hopefully somebody who's watching this can take some snippets, implement it into their business to take themselves to the next level. Because the reason we do this is because I believe I at least try to live myself by the quote of you can have absolutely anything in life, the more people you have to get what they want. So by giving our time and talent, right, to somebody else, hopefully they're going to implement it. They get what they want. And in return, God will take care of us.
Amen.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations, Rockstar.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Icon agent. First of many.
Yeah, hope so.
Thank you so much. Bye, Jennifer.
Bye-bye.